check numbers in your packet? I didn't see the check numbers, and this is in alphabetical order. Six, 17.
She's right, he's ready to go, Katrina.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind. This is 70s, and this is the 50s. It's almost done. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call our regular board meeting, Board of Directors meeting to order at 5:05 p.m. We are located in the Village of Broadview Chambers, located at 2350 South 25th Avenue. Celeste, can we get a roll call, please?
Sure. Mayor Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Nosek?
Here.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
And I know we did get a message from Trustee Caraco and Trustee Senior that they will not be attending the meeting tonight. I know I got confirmation of that. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Again, I'm going to ask that we just take a few moments of silence to say a prayer for Mayor Frank Perry from the Village of Westchester. Let's just continue to pray for his health and a recovery. So if we can take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next up is public comment. Do we have any public comment? Seeing or hearing none, we'll move right along. Presentation of the minutes of November 18th, 2021 board meeting. I've read the minutes. I don't have any comments or questions. Do you, Mr. Nosek?
No.
You, Ms. Jones?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The financial report for 2021. Chris, you want to give us the report?
Is this on? Okay, just making sure last time it wasn't on.
Well, I guess it's on. I don't know. I'm over here.
All right, as you get the memo, Kelly couldn't make it today because she got like 3 meetings today in that, so I'm filling in. So as of November 30th, the agency has a little over $5.2 million in cash and investments. Majority of this money is in the Illinois funds. Although the net income is positive for the first 7 months, cash on hand is down $300,000 from the beginning of the fiscal year. This decline is due to having an increase in accounts receivable, which reduces the cash flows, although it increases the net income. We continue to monitor our collections and follow up with our customers that are not current. As stated above, the agency is operating at a surplus for the first 7 months of the fiscal year. When looking at the revenues, the agency is right on line with the budget at 63% when the budget is adjusted by eliminating the debt preceded budget. The water purchase is actually below budget. I'd expect us to be closer to 68% versus the 61% we currently have. In looking at the remaining expenses, the agency has several accounts that are extremely over budget. Electrical expenses, internet / website, legal, and IMRF that are significant to the budget overall. These expenditures will continue to increase over the budget positions over the remainder of the year. Electrical expenses will be approximately $35,000 over. IMRF expenses will be about $50,000 over budget. The internet website will be about 20,000 to 30,000 over. And finally, the legal fees are looking to be over budget by about 20,000 when adding the two lines together. And looking at the revenue flows, I don't see the revenue flows supporting these overages. So we should evaluate our current expenditures and reductions that would support this 120,000 in projected overages. We are seeing some savings in expenditures like transmission valve, equipment replacement, and meter repairs and maintenance that will be able to cover most, if not all, of these overages. We also do have cost savings in salaries and benefit lines due to there being an open position since the retirement of the superintendent. Kelly was asked to prepare an analysis of the costs related to hiring an administrative assistant for the remainder of the year. As Kelly attached to her memo, the estimated cost for the remainder of the year, as well as the annual cost for the positions going forward. As she has previously stated, there are several line items that are going to cost the agency more than what was budgeted for. The agency has cautiously budgeted as to not to have an increase the member rates year over year excessively. I can't speak to what the long-term effect is going to be with the hiring with this hiring in relation to future budgets and the rates charged. I do believe that we can make available budget to cover the current estimated cost based on a $15 per hour pay. At this time, regarding the bond issue, at this time, we are in real good position to issue the bonds not long after the beginning of the fiscal year. The official statement is 99% complete, and we are waiting for a few items from the villages. We have had several open calls coordinating the issuance, but due to the delays in finalizing the OS, we will not be able to issue the bonds until right after the first of the year. On December 22nd, we have our rating phone call with Standards and Poor's. We are hoping to have the rating by the end of the following week. Once we get the rating, we will then be able to take the bonds to the market within a reasonable time period. Any questions?
Mr. Nosak?
The only question I had related to the IMRF expense and why the significant overage.
When the superintendent retired, we had to pay a $53,000 payment to them because of his retirement. This was, she had noted, I remember her telling, we had let you guys know that with him leaving early, it was gonna cost, it's like an early retirement. So it cost us, if I recall, it was like $53,000 payment we had.
So that was one of the questions that I had with the overage with IMRF. And I have to say, I do remember us having a conversation about the payout, but I don't recall that coming before the board to make us aware of what that estimated payout would be. So we never got a final payout number of what that would be.
We had a payout, I remember it was on the check register. If she didn't tell you, I apologize.
Well, I'm just saying, like in the memo form, like you guys given us now, because we're asking for more documentation, that had not been disclosed to the board for us to even, I mean, it may have come through the payables, but as it relates to how we look at our budget and how we budget, we know that when he retired, it was right before our budget, before we went into the new budget, but if we had an estimate of what the cost would be, we could have budgeted for that.
You know, that might end up being an accrued expense for last year. Because when did that occur?
It occurred right after
April?
Yep,
right after, because
Yep.
his last check was May 7th.
right.
That day,
Oh.
I'm sorry, I remember that day happened, May 7th. I mean, I can look back and I will get the paperwork and we can,
And that was around
Bring that
all the
back to you.
election time and all of the stuff.
Transition,
Right.
yeah, okay.
So,
but I mean,
okay,
I can look back and get the paperwork and
because
I
actually the budget was done before
Yeah.
right, the
this.
budget was
had to-
already
And so that's
approved,
my,
and then we got the final number, from IMRF, and they sent us a letter saying, this is the amount you have to pay, and if you don't pay it by this
right,
certain
I
date.
remember that. So that's an issue for us, well, at least from our perspective. And then when we look at the electrical expenses in the internet website, we didn't even have a website at the time. So this cost must have been mostly internet, and I'm just kind of curious of like, what kind of internet are we using?
And think, Wesley, Wesley, I'm sorry, you said something, what did we need? We added something.
We have an additional cellular backup at the College Station, and that is through AT&T, and we have Verizon as well out there.
So that's how they connect for communication?
Yes.
And so that's something that we have to have, or is that something that, is that a one-time charge, or is this something that's gonna be occurring?
That is, we pay monthly on that.
Okay.
And this we decided after the budget had been passed?
Yes.
Okay,
And
so,
as far as the electrical, you said Kyler's been running more and more lately than we usually have Kyler running.
okay.
And the website renewal, I'm sure there was a cost there, but
Right.
I thought
That
that would
was
have been in the
minimal.
budget, though. I
Yeah,
thought that would have been in the budget.
The website, when we talked about it, we have the numbers for the budget, for the website to budget for that. So it sounds like most of the cost is coming on the internet side, not the website side.
Yes.
Because that was a fixed cost.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
okay. I'm good.
Okay, and so then I want to talk about the administrative position analysis. So what Kelly had showed, put out for us, we knew that we had, because the former superintendent had left, we knew that we had part of that salary that was not being used to cover the cost until we got into the next budget. So for her to say that the agency, how we prepared to have this administrative assistant, it is something that I think the agency can afford because we saving costs over an amount of time. So,
Right.
and so when we look at how we sustain, and so the agency, we know that we got a small increase from Chicago water rate, and so we wanted to make that a pass-through cost to our users as well. And so that number wasn't a big number to keep water costs down for both municipalities and our water customers. So how we look long-term on how we sustain things, those are things that we have to take into consideration when we considering to make a new position. The other thing that we do have access to, and this is something that we can work with, most certainly with Wesley on the PLCCA, how they have an age group of young people that can come and work for a period of time, like up to 9 months, to see if it work out. So maybe we interview some of those young people to be a part-time administrative assistant. I think they work 6 hours a day. They pay them $15 an hour, and it's no cost to the agency. So that would give us that would buy us some time on how we look at what we need to do. And if this person works out, we'll put it in the budget. And if the person work out for the agency, we can then bring them on later in that. So we can look at that if you open to that, Mr. Superintendent and Mr. Nosak and Ms. Jones. Because I'm asking you guys to help them with the hiring. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're financially sound, though, to be able to afford.
Well, we are financially sound, but how
Right.
the report is written, it's.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to echo your sentiments, that we are financially sound, and
We are.
we could afford a part-time assistant for sure. So I don't think it's gonna have any long-term impact on us financially.
Right, but reading the report, I know, I see the concerns there as it relates to how we sustain, and if we create a position, we want to most certainly make sure that we can sustain a position where we're not hiring somebody and then letting them go.
Right, and with the IMRF, but depending on that, because if you're working 20 hours, the
Right.
IMRF, and then based off of that, then the rate base may adjust, IMRF may adjust what the
Right.
agency is. That's
Right.
where her concern is on that.
Okay, well, I don't have any other questions. Do you, Ms. Jones?
Well, just one thing, and I guess I would just need clarity, is that in the report where it says that we're extremely over budget in the particular line items, and this is just brought to our attention now, so it just, I guess I'm just asking that moving forward, if we can just get, and I know this is new, but like from month to month, so that when we get in 7 months in, at least we know, of how these line items are, occurring.
Okay, I
Yeah.
mean, we do
Okay.
give you the,
But
when we
we
show
just-
you the financials, you could see it, but we can emphasize
Right.
each month
Right,
on that. Yeah, we can do that. No problem, I
Okay.
apologize on that, but yeah, we
Thank
can
you.
emphasize, and like she said, we can reallocate expenditures to balance it.
yes. Thank you.
No problem,
Thank you.
thank you.
Motion to accept the financial report?
We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second,
We need a roll call or aye vote is okay, Mike?
And I vote because we're not spending money, we're just
Okay.
accepting the report.
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. Okay, next on the agenda is old business. Okay, yeah, old business. Status report on expansion of the agency water reservoir capacity at 10th Avenue Pump Station site and water reservoir project financing from water revenue bonds and refunding of the IEPA loan. We had any updates?
Nothing more than what Chris just mentioned, that
Oh, okay.
it'll close in the early first quarter 2022.
Okay, Jim?
I can provide an update on this. The bids are being opened tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock here at the Broadview Village Hall for
Oh,
the
okay.
new reservoir. So, yeah, we will have those results, and we're asking if it's possible to have a special meeting the second week in January to award the project, just to give us a couple more weeks to get lead time going on materials and cut sheets instead of waiting until the end of January.
Can you tell us what date you're looking for in January?
It's open, anytime that second week in January.
You have any preference, Paul? So we'll send the superintendent a date and we'll just show up.
Okay,
Okay, that's fine.
okay, that's it.
All right, thanks. Next is status report on purchase of 1014 to 1020 West Roosevelt Road properties, Broadview, Illinois by Housing Forward. Consideration and approval of resolution number 2021-13, resolution authorizing the approval and execution of First Amendment to real estate sales contract for the purposes of extending the due diligence period for 120 days until February 28th, 2022, in order for Housing Forward to have additional time to secure its multiple layers of financing for the purchase and development of 1014 to 1020 West Roosevelt Road properties. So I know Linda is here on behalf of Housing Forward, so you want to give us some updates on the request that you're asking us for? Please?
Well, good evening, and my apologies for not being here last month. We have our board meeting that same evening, and I'm sorry to hear about President Perry as well. So the request before you tonight to extend the due diligence period is because of a number of factors. The most obvious is the market conditions that we're living with right now. When we, in the summer months, the general contractor came back with an increase in the cost of the project by $1.2 million. That forced us into a position of going back to IDA, the primary financer of the project, to request additional funds. That obviously took some time to go through the approval process of the committees and then ultimately the final approval from the IDA board. Then the general contractor in the early fall went out to get bids from the subcontractors. The subcontractors came in above those estimated costs for an additional it was over $600,000. At each of these intervals, we've said pencils down. We cannot proceed. Housing Forward alone cannot absorb these. So at that point, even after the additional funding that we received from IDA, we went through a process of value engineering of the drawings. So going from a steel project to a wood project and aluminum versus vinyl windows. So we have gone through that process, and that has delayed us going to closing. So right now, where this stands is we still have I think it's 13.5 in escrow at Chicago Title. We anticipate closing near the end of January. The architects right now are still working through the drawing process. We've been in touch with Building Commissioner David Upshaw. He's well aware of where we're at. As soon as those drawings are complete, I'm being told by the architects in early January, we will be resubmitting those to the Village of Broadview. And I'm gonna do ask that, in order for us to go to closing, we have to have permits issued. So, we will ask for some help, on the Broadview side for that. So that is, really the timeline that we've been under the last, 5-6 months, which has
It don't
caused the
matter.
delay in, purchasing the property.
Okay. So I most certainly understand what's taking place with construction because we just did our Broadview Senior Apartments and it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we know that the cost went up with construction projects. What's your shortage?
So we're short, 222,000. That's not gonna prevent us from going to closing. We have 2 pending private grants that we are, waiting on. One from BMO Harris and then another one from, the Jeanette and Harry Weinberg Foundation. So, and we are asking for 225,000 from each of them. So, it'll be great if we get both of them, and if we get one, then we'll be able to, close that gap. That's not gonna prevent us from going to closing.
Okay, well, I don't have a problem with moving forward with giving you the consideration for the due diligence period. But what I am gonna ask you to do is call Senator Kimberly Lightford,
Yeah,
because when I met with her, I asked her, because I know this building is for young adults aging out of DCFS and veterans,
yeah.
and so she's gonna give Housing Forward $225,000.
Oh my gosh.
So you need to call her office and make an appointment with her so that you guys can get the funding that you need to fill the gap.
Well, you just gave me goosebumps.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to Housing Forward.
I gotta just say.
Well, hey, hold it. So we know that this project is gonna bless a lot of young people, and we want to be a blessing to our community, not just for Broadview, but the Proviso Township. And we are in position to be able to call on our state officials when there's a need.
Yeah.
And I was happy to do that.
Well, my gosh, thank you so much. I mean, I was not prepared to hear any of that. I was here to kind of beg for your extension, so to,
I'm for
to hear that great news, that's incredible. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure. On behalf of me and Frank Perry
Thank
of
you.
the Village of Westchester.
I'll be calling Senator Lightford tomorrow.
Call her tomorrow. So I'm gonna call for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second?
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can we just?
Roll
We need a roll call vote. Okay.
Sure. Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nosek?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Merry Christmas to Housing Forward.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, next on the agenda is consideration and approval of December 2021 finance report, reoccurring agency expenses and vendor invoices. Need a motion?
So,
Do we have
second?
dollar amounts and check numbers and?
Yep, so check number is, I don't have the dollar, I didn't see that in the report.
Okay, check number
Thank you.
16346 through 16376.
What was the first one?
16346.
46. Oh, those were checks that were probably approved, that we signed prior to.
545.22. Sorry about that.
And then do we have the
What was the dollar amount again?
dollar amount?
$620,545.22.
Okay. You have any questions, Mr. Nosat?
Nope.
You, Ms. Jones?
No.
Can we get a roll call, Celeste?
Motion?
We did a motion in a second.
I missed it, I'm sorry. Who motion?
I'm on.
Motion.
Thank you, Jones Nosek. Sure. Mayor Thompson?
Yes,
Mr. Nosek?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
thank you. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The water operator position has been reposted to seek out more candidates. The part-time assistant position is still open and accepting candidates. Interviews will be conducted once scheduling with the Village of Broadview administrator and Village of Westchester manager can be confirmed. Both job links are listed on the agency's website. The agency's website has officially been launched. The new website address is www.bwjwa.org. Again, that's www.bwjwa.org. Board meetings will also be live streamed. The current burglar alarm for the pump station is obsolete and will be upgraded to a new system within 2 weeks. For the month of December, the agency completed a total of 31 Julie locates along with daily maintenance. The station pumped 92,161,000 gallons. That ends my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nosat.
No questions.
Ms. Jones?
No questions.
I have one question. For the burglar alarm pump station, is there a charge for the upgrade?
Yes, that was $1,030, or is it $1,033? $1,033, yes.
Okay. Anytime there's a financial component to any upgrades or anything that you need, even though it's within your threshold to expend funds, it's just out of courtesy, just let the board know what that dollar amount is.
Okay.
Okay? And that's all I have, so thank you. So we don't have anything for closed session, correct, Mike?
No, Mayor.
Okay, then call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.